The finals has plenty of secrets, Easter eggs, and curiosities to be found in the game, and in this video I'm going to show you a whole bunch of them, including some that are new finds in the ongoing Easter egg puzzle for the finals. So let's dive right in. Let's start with something that's linked to the core lore of the finals and that's been right in front of your eyes this entire time. In the right lighting conditions, like a clear night variant of a map, you can see these out of focus circles on the screen. Now watch what happens when I move. They move with my character's head. These marks are therefore on the glass of the VR goggles that your character is wearing in their real world, or what is known in the game's lore as the meat space, to immerse them into the virtual reality of the finals game show. This glass is therefore the only object we've seen that is in the meat space of the finals, which is set about 75 years into the future. These marks are always present, but can only really be seen in conditions like this, or when you're a heavy build using the flamethrower. Once you've seen these marks, you can't unsee them, and they're a neat and very cool piece of game lore that's been right in front of us this whole time. Moving on to one of the main Easter eggs in the game, 3 additional 3-headed monkeys have been found by Easter egg hunters on the Monaco map since I last covered these. If you want to know more about what part these 3-headed monkeys play in the ongoing main Easter egg puzzle for the finals, you can watch my previous video about them, which is linked above and also in the video description. As a quick recap though, these monkeys only stay visible for 1 second unless you turn away from them for about 15 seconds, after which they'll reappear for a second. The first 3 monkeys were found on the N on this container in Pocket Park, tucked away on the bottom corner of the generator next to the Monaco Cathedral and on a step just north of the cathedral. The first of the new monkeys, and therefore the 4th to be found, was spotted at the end of May on the side of this underpass between the villas and the park by hunter Arata. A few days later, the 5th was caught by hunter EE Train on the road between the Royal Plaza and the shopping district. And just a couple of days ago, a 6th was discovered by hunter Ludenope, who also happened to find the 2nd monkey. This latest one is well hidden behind a trash can on the north side of Royal Plaza. So here are the positions of all 6 monkeys discovered so far. Apparently 2 additional monkeys were added at the start of season 3, so we now have 3 remaining to find, but that's hopefully for another video. Let's move on. You might have spotted this mammoth skull on the Cis Horizon map. In the same museum building, you'll also find its skeleton and its scapulars or shoulder blades. Now, if you've ever watched one of those wildlife documentaries where they follow a herd of elephants for a year or two, you might know that individual elephants can be identified by the unique shape of their tusks. Well, the same goes for mammoths, and so with a bit of diligent searching, we managed to track down the real-world version of this mammoth. It was a specimen recovered from Alaska in 1952, and it now resides in the Ice Age Hall at the National Museum of Natural History that is part of the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., and it's available to view as an online 3D model. Beyond this, could this also be a hint for the real-world location of the Cis Horizon map? There's a fantastic video by content creator Spear where he interviewed the Embark Studios team about the Cis Horizon map. I've linked that video in the description below and highly recommend you check it out. Spear's videos are super high quality and that one is no exception. In that interview, the Embark dev said that they have deliberately tried to make it very hard to tell what location the Cis Horizon map is based on. I think it's possible that the Smithsonian District of Washington DC could be it because it has a very square layout and several of its buildings share similarities to those seen on Cis Horizon. So perhaps this mammoth is a clue to the location that gave the Embark team inspiration for the map. However, we might never know that for certain because they've done a great job of transforming the real-world inspiration into the hacked map that is Horizon. Continuing the theme of animals on Cis Horizon, you might have noticed the statue of what is clearly a 4-legged animal, with its upper body disguised by the hacked map cubes you see all around the Horizon arena. With the benefit of hindsight, it's clear that this was a hint from the Kyoto map, with this being a Komanu or lion dog statue that we see around stairs on the Season 3 map. If you listen very carefully as you move around the temples on the Kyoto map, you'll notice that the floors squeak. These are called nightingale floors, and the sound occurs because in real life the floors were built in a way that the flooring nails rub against a jacket or clamp, causing them to make a chirping noise. Some of the best real-world examples of these are found in the temples and a castle in Kyoto. Legend has it that the squeaking floors were used as a security device, assuring that no one could sneak through the corridors undetected. Also in Kyoto, many of the buildings have completely enclosed hidden spaces that you can use a dematerializer to open up and sneak inside. Some are under stairwells similar to those seen on the Monaco map and here on the Las Vegas map, but others are in spaces in the ceiling. These provide plenty of places to sneakily defend a cache out from. This space on the SIS Horizon map is known as a Cornell box. It's a test space commonly used as a 3D test model for graphics rendering. There are fire hydrants on the Las Vegas and SIS Horizon maps, and if you break one of those on the Las Vegas map, water spouts up into the air for a short time. I've tried breaking all of these in one round, but it didn't seem to trigger anything special. This white room with red piping in Las Vegas is a very direct nod to the same art style in the game Mirror's Edge, which many of the Embark Studios developers worked on during their time at DICE. Similarly, on rare occasions when you smash through a door in the game, you'll hear the sound of a chicken squawking out of the way. This is a nod to exactly the same Easter egg that appeared in Battlefield 1. Another game that several of the Embark team developed. On this building wall in the Las Vegas alleyway, you can see a couple of band posters for a band named Death by Rodent. If you arrive here and music is playing, wait until it ends and then there'll be a pause, then the sound of someone tuning their guitar, someone hitting the drums a couple of times, and then the lead singer says this. Continuing with the music-related Easter eggs, the roadie cases on the stage in the Glamora Casino and the Lapis Grandstand on the Vegas map have guitars in them which briefly appear when you break them. If you look directly south along the east edge of the Las Vegas map during the nighttime variant, you'll see a massive beam of light pointing directly skyward. This is the Luxor Sky Beam, which sits atop the Luxor Las Vegas and is the most powerful human-made light in the world. Could it also be a possible clue to an ancient Egyptian map in the future? Also on the nighttime variant of Las Vegas, if you look at the exterior reflections in the windows, like in the little street stalls here, you're actually seeing the Seoul skyline reflected instead of Las Vegas. Shortly I'll show you more examples of these imperfections that the finals AI created world seemingly shows as part of its underlying lore. The Panda Patches stand in Las Vegas displays lots of stickers from Season 1 for ranking up gadgets and specializations, including this anti-one which isn't even in the game yet. Also, if you take a look at the top of the stall, you'll see it says henna tattoos, no regrets, and despite the meme, no regrets is actually spelt correctly, but tattoos is spelt wrong. The souvenirs stand on Las Vegas shows some very basic versions of some of the weapon charms. There's a Rob's wrist wrap stand as well, which is a nod to Embark co-founder, chief content officer, and executive producer for the finals, Rob Runison, who can be seen pretty much always wearing black wristbands. If you look directly overhead during the nighttime variant on Las Vegas, you can actually see the part of the sky that is known as the South Celestial Pole in real life. The celestial poles are the 2 points in the sky where Earth's axis of rotation, indefinitely extended, intersects the celestial sphere. Near the South Celestial Pole, you can actually see what are known as the Magellanic Clouds. These are dwarf galaxies that are relatively close to the Milky Way. So this is pretty strange, because in real life, the South Celestial Pole is permanently directly overhead to observers at the Earth's South Pole, and isn't even visible from Las Vegas. So this possibly means one of two things. Either Las Vegas in the finals is located at the South Pole, Or the finals AI that runs the game show has created an incorrect placement of the night sky. Perhaps it's part of these lore-based arena imperfections that I mentioned, like the finals equivalent of a glitch in the Matrix, or maybe it has some deeper meaning we're yet to discover. Complicating this even further though, during the 6 p.m. sunset variant of the Las Vegas map, the sun can be seen low in the sky to the north-northeast of the arena, which doesn't really make any sense at all, but would be closest to being possible at the South Pole, from which all headings are north. You might recall seeing this message from CNS in the Season 1 trailer. It reads, "Good evening, this broadcast has been hacked by CNS, 1 night, 3 dawns, see the signs." We had already worked out that 1 night and 3 dawns might be a reference to 3 types of dawn: astronomical dawn, nautical dawn, and civil dawn, as the Earth rotates in 6-degree increments towards sunrise. However, towards the end of May, Hunter Ludenope, who has honestly been on fire with Easter egg ideas lately, suggested that the 4 casinos in Las Vegas might represent the night and 3 dawns, with the blue of Glamora being the night, the purple colour of Argon Casino being astronomical dawn, the red of Eastwood being nautical dawn, and the orange of Zaraby being civil dawn. This was confirmed by Rob Runerson with his usual eyes emoji, so it's a decent breakthrough on the 1 night and 3 dawns path. Additionally, Ludenope spotted that if you take the first and third letter of each of the casino's names, they represent 4 chemical elements: Glamora, Ga or gallium, Argon, Ag or silver, Eastwood, Es or Einsteinium, and Zaraby, Zr or zirconium. This new path is still being investigated by the Easter egg hunters, but it seems like some progress is being made here. The apartment building on Sol is called the 6 Degrees of Freedom Apartments, which is a possible reference to the 1 night and 3 dawns clues. The flies around the trash bags on the Las Vegas and Skyway Stadium maps are flying dollar bills that are the same as the Easy Come, Easy Go emoticon you can equip to your character in-game. Similarly, the stone lanterns on the Kyoto map are surrounded by fireflies that are a glowing version of the flying dollar bills. This is the key command charm, and if you push the Control and Z or Z keys, depending on your level of North Americanness, the keys on the charm are pressed as well. Push them together and you get a little undo symbol. These wooden barrels on the Kyoto map have mandarins hidden inside them which spill out when you break the barrel. Similarly, these rice barrels on Kyoto can be broken open to spill rice out of them. Around the Kyoto map you can find the stumps of mature bamboo plants that have been cut down, a neat little attention to detail from the environment team there. The archery targets located in the grounds of the training building on the west side of the Kyoto map can't be destroyed by gunfire, so you can pretty effectively use these as shields from your opponent's attacks. The stained glass window on the front of the Monaco Cathedral has an odd symmetry to it. This appears to be some kind of clue because it doesn't match the real-world version of the window, but we don't know what it means. The statue of a couple that you see on the Monaco map is based on a real-world statue found in Monaco called Invitation by the Dutch artist and sculptor Kees Vercade. When you reload an empty magazine for the gold dust skin on the AKM, it makes a cash register sound. The water on the Cis Horizon map has waves of cubes that move through it. There are pulsing blocks in the middle of the street on Horizon. These gain a purplish hue when you stand on them. Graffiti in the Las Vegas alleyways actually changes regularly. There's a giant red moon above the nighttime version of Skyway Stadium with a permanent ominous cloud in front of it. It was thought that the cloud might actually be a giant fracture in the moon. However, on the right-hand edge, you can see that the cloud with its lighter edges crosses in front of the moon. Having said that, the left edge of the cloud is suspiciously straight. The daylight version of the moon on Skyway has a strange, enormous straight object crossing the sky towards it. This seems lore related, but we don't have a clue what it is. In Season 3, player statues, canisters, and props were given an inspection animation, so everything you can carry now has an inspection. If you inspect the gadget and specialization tablets while facing another player who has the Ariad CNS face equipped, you can see a triangle mesh of their face appear. The equipable wristwatches and the Time Flies clock charm show your local time. Fire propagates when burning foliage, and this can be used to set large sections of vegetated areas on fire. The analog joystick charm moves around as you press the W, A, S, and D keys. Billboards around the map show you when in-game events are active. The following 5 details were included in a recent video by content creator Jinko, so a shout out to them. I've included a link to their channel in the video description. The small screen charm shows the season's current sponsors. The small screen charm also shows the current in-game event as it occurs. Glitch effects also affect the small screen charm by having it show static. The Waveform Watcher oscilloscope charm is also affected by glitches. If you listen closely when you're zoomed into your character's face in the contestant editing section of the UI, you can actually hear your character quietly breathing. You can use Google Lens to translate Japanese and Korean writing in the game. For instance, on the radio pouch on the Hazard Duty outfit, this writing reads Specialist, and the back of the leg says Explosives. A bust of Jan Matejko appears on the Monaco, Cis Horizon, and Skyway maps. Jan was a 19th century Polish painter who, amongst other things, painted this painting of Polish astronomer and mathematician Nicholas Copernicus, as well as this painting of your team being third-partied at the data center cache-out on the Sol map. The bridge buttons can be triggered with orbital lasers. There's a semi-secret inflatable Namatama on the Sol map sitting way down on this building behind the hospital. The distinct areas on the Skyway Stadium map are actually called dioramas because they are partial replicas of areas seen on the Sol and Monaco maps. The portable lamps that can be found in some buildings and especially around the construction zones on the Monaco and Skyway Stadium maps have been recently updated to LED versions. These put out less light than the old ones. A murder of crows can be seen flying above the Sol map. A building on the Sol map is named after Scotty and June, the in-game commentators. 5 white rabbit stickers can be found around the Sol map. These are linked to the main Easter egg puzzle. Probably the easiest one for you to view is on the back of this lamp on the east side of the top of the apartments building. On the practice range, if you throw cash boxes through all 4 of the blue circles within a short space of time, they light up to indicate you completed some kind of challenge, although there's no reward for this other than an underwhelming sense of achievement. 5 roses can be found on and beside the park bench in the practice range. We know these are part of a major individual Easter egg, but so far no one has been able to work out what they might trigger. A rather lonesome practice range dummy can be found in a hidden space behind this yellow wall in the practice range. Lights on the servers in the Cis Horizon map represent the letter S and the number 5 in binary. This has made me wonder if the S lies graffiti Easter egg that we see on the Monaco map actually reads 5 lies, which could be linked to the 5 truths clue we were given by Rob Brunison as part of the last tier of level 2 of the main Easter egg puzzle. There are strange symmetrical shapes on the ceilings of the practice range building, with the upper floor one being the most obvious. If you damage the generator in the practice range park, the lights in the building go out and then restart a minute or so later. When this happens, the strange shape disappears, and then when the generator restarts and the lights come back on, the shape comes back but is more defined. Tetris-like blocks can be seen descending into the cityscape in the distance on the Cis Horizon map. Weird sounds like a radio rapidly flicking between stations come from the billboards on the Cis Horizon map. The Memo Mayhem skin for the F-Car has loads of post-it notes all over it, including some that relate to Easter eggs, like this one which seems to show a concept sketch for what is now known as the Burrow Diamond Clue, a gift that is a clue that can potentially lead us directly to the end of the main Easter egg puzzle. There are also post-it notes with writing that describe the steps in making a 3D model. If you fall off a building on the Sol or Skyway Stadium maps, you incur 32,768 damage, which is the number of bytes bytes and 32 kilobytes of memory, an apparent nod to the early days of personal computing. The TVs on each level of the hospital building on Seoul display a number sequence ranging from 436 to 439, as well as numbers and letter codes, which we still haven't been able to decipher. There's a functioning windsock on the Seoul map next to the hospital helipad. Windsocks indicate the wind direction and approximate wind speed to approaching aircraft. Each stripe adds 3 knots or 5.6 kilometers or 3.5 miles per hour to the estimated wind speed. So the hospital windsock indicates a northerly wind with wind speeds around 9 knots gusting up to around 15 knots. You can grapple up on top of the spacecraft during the in-game alien invasion event, but sadly you don't get to try and communicate with the aliens. When you inspect the goo grenade with the Tama trauma skin equipped to it, you can hear Namatama's squeal, and this is Namatama's actual language. Shortly after the game was launched, Rob Runison wrote in the Discord that Namatamas speak in a high-pitched language called Namatish, often simply called English, due to the egg-shaped nature of the Namatamas. This high-pitched language is characterized by elevated pitch levels in speech. Namatamas use higher pitches for expression, conveying emotions and grammatical nuances. It can convey excitement or urgency and varies across cultures. Prosody elements like rhythm and intonation play a role in the overall impression of a high-pitched language. And finally, the art style and music for the game's credits are highly influenced by this video by Razor 1911. Razor 1911 is a wares and demo group founded in Norway in 1985 during the early days of personal computing. According to Wikipedia, Razor 1911 is the oldest software cracking group that is still active on the internet. And that wraps up these 69 nice details and Easter eggs that you can find in the finals. What other details would you add to the list? Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to thank Easter egg hunters Frosty and R.Cade for helping me to capture many of these details and Easter eggs, and also hunters Selatiel and Big Oil who helped me to record a couple as well. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Do the usual YouTube business if you want to see more videos from me from now on. Give a like or comment as you see fit, and enjoy the rest of your day. Kia kaha, stay strong.
Everybody knows the world ain't right. Down on your knees, get up and fight.